I couldn't tell you why Lanae's so passionate about it, to be honest with you. She doesn't come from a military background. She's just a small town Iowa kid that just has a lot of patriotism in her heart. And she started this a few years ago, kind of out of boredom after a surgery. And it's just taken off. She's just running with it. It's awesome.
I'm Lanae Strovers, and I'm a funeral director at Hamilton's Funeral Home. I'm also the president of the nonprofit, The Final Salute. I had a really good friend who died very suddenly. He was really young. He was just a very vibrant person, and when we went to his funeral, it just had nothing to do with him. It was like they just slapped his name on the front and said, "Here you go." And I just thought there's a better way to do funerals. And so I went home and Googled, how do you be a funeral director? And class started the next week, and I just never looked back. A few years ago, I had to have a surgery that I was going to be on bed rest for 3 months. And I knew that I was going to be bored out of my mind. So I had asked Hamilton's, hey, do you guys have something I can do from home? They said, hey, we've got about 300 urns sitting in our basement that have never been claimed. Do you want to call them and gently remind them to come and get them? So I started calling, and what I was realizing when I was doing that is there a lot of time wasn't family to come and get them. So I thought, man, that's just not right to have them sitting in a basement. So we started a program called The Final Salute, where we find these urns in funeral home basements, in storage units, abandoned apartments, cars, side of the road, wherever, and then we get a respectful resting place for them. So for civilians, in 2018, we buried 86 people. We also do a service for children. In 2019, we buried 7 children. And in May this year, we'll bury 36 children that have gone unclaimed. With going through those, we also realized we had veterans. And we felt very strongly that we should separate the veterans from the civilians and the children because they deserve military honors. So we teamed up with Iowa Veteran Cemetery, and we've done services for them. This year will be our 6th year of doing that. To date, we've buried almost 50 unclaimed veterans. This year, there's 20 unclaimed veterans in our service, including a gentleman who served in the Civil War. And we always try and get him back to the family first. That's our first goal, but sometimes there isn't anybody. So then we do the research of, did they serve? Did they serve honorably? What's their military history? And then for the service, we work very hard to tell their story. So it's more than just, oh, here's their name, here's their branch, here's their dates. We try and find out as much as we can about these individuals because it's more than just a name.
She does a lot of research on these individuals to find out who they were. It's not just let's do 25 this year. It's who are these 25 people? For each veteran, she'll have a flag bearer, an urn bearer, somebody to tell that veteran's story individually. So she gets a lot of people involved.
I could not have done it without him and the entire Patriot Guard. I mean, that's why it works, is because I have the support of them.
I couldn't even begin to tell you how many people have been impacted by her efforts. Since we've been doing this, when we started, it was maybe 50 of us that showed up for the first one. It was small. It was only a couple veterans. And then it's just blown up since then.
So the first year, we laid to rest 3 veterans, and we had no idea what to expect. We put it out there. We thought, oh, maybe like 20 or 30 people will come. There was like 300 people, including the governor. And that's when I knew, okay, what we're doing is really important. We need to keep going.
The biggest impact is somebody cares. She's not just helping those unclaimed veterans that have no family to put them in their final resting place. She's reaching out to every veteran really across the country now, but it really started here in Iowa, showing them that they're not forgotten. People do care. She's touching a lot more lives than I think she realizes she's touching.
We're going to tell their story. You only die once the last person says your name for the last time. And every year we'll continue to say their names and continue to tell their story. And so just because when they died that they were alone, it doesn't mean that they still are.
Dear Lanae, thank you for your heart. The service you do for our veteran community extends further than you could possibly imagine. Never forget what made you start, and never forget the why. Once again, thank you for all you do for the community.